In this video, we're going to be introducing functions. And the first function we're going to be looking at is something called the sum function, S-U-M. So previously, we've had formulas that we've dealt with where we learned about using addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, and we've talked about PEMDAS. And so if we were to use a formula to add up the cells here, right, we would do equal, and we click on this cell, and then plus, and click on B3, plus B4, plus B5, plus B6, right? Imagine if we had 100 of these, how tedious that would be, right? It would be ridiculous. So Excel recognizes this, so it creates something called a function. The idea behind a function is that it performs a certain task. Excel has over 500 different functions available. My job is to teach you a few of them, and then to eventually get you to the point where you're going to be able to explore your own functions that you need for your own uses, because everybody will have different functions that they need to use for whatever jobs they're doing. Okay, so first I'm going to introduce you to the sum function, which is a pretty easy function to learn. And I want you to understand the overall breakdown of how a function is set up. Every function, always, just like a formula, always starts with an equal sign. So we have an equal sign, and then we have the name of the function, whatever the name of the function is. And then we always have a left parenthesis, which is above the 9. And then we would highlight the range or indicate whatever arguments are needed for that function. Every function has different arguments that are needed. And then we would have a right parenthesis. Okay, so let's see if I can draw this out. Let me see. So basically you always have an equal sign, and then you have the name of the function. So in our case, equal sum, right, like that. And then you always have a left parenthesis. And inside the parentheses are the arguments that that function needs. And like I said to you, different functions will need different arguments. For the sum function, it just wants to know, hey, what's the range that you want me to sum, right? So whatever those arguments are. And then a right paren, and then you always hit enter, okay? So every function always has an equal sign. It has the name of the function, whatever that is, and it always has a left and a right parenthesis, okay? And inside are the arguments that that function needs. So it's sort of an important thing to keep in mind, because that's the overall structure of every function. All right, so we're going to go back down here to cell C7, and I'm going to erase that. And what I want to do is I want to start typing it in. So I'm going to do equal sum. And as I'm typing sum in, I actually see how it lists a bunch of functions here that start with sum, which is kind of nice. And I'll show you that what you could do is you have the option of double clicking it off the list if you see it. And if you do that, it will actually fill in the parenthesis for you. So it would fill in the rest of the name of the function for you. It just saves you a little bit of typing, basically. So watch, if I take out the equal SU and I see sum here, if I double click it, notice how it finished doing sum for me and it put the left parenthesis in. So that's up to you. You can either type equal sum left paren, or you can pull it off the list there by double clicking it. So now what we need is the range that we want it to sum. Well, I want it to sum this range of C2 through C6. Notice my numbers are exactly the same, right? Okay, equal sum left paren. I've highlighted my range. I need my right paren. So I'm going to do my right paren. And then just like my formula or anything I've entered into the cell, I need to hit enter to commit that. So I hit enter. I notice I get the same exact answer, right? So this formula and this, exactly the same thing. Here we use the formula. Here we use the sum function. Okay? Now, we'll talk about the difference between those in a few minutes. But imagine, like I said before, that you had hundreds of rows. It would be a heck of a lot easier to do the equal sum, left paren, highlight the range, right paren, and enter than equal this plus that plus that plus that. Okay? So I'm going to erase this for a second just to move it out of the way. Excel recognizes that using the sum function is something that you would do fairly often. Okay, I like you to get used to typing in equal sum, left paren, highlight the range, right paren, and enter. And the reason for that is because it's the foundation of every function. And when you get into multiple worksheets and multiple workbooks, you need to feel comfortable with that foundation. Once you become comfortable with that, Excel offers something called AutoSum that makes your life significantly easier. Basically, it automatically sums, it automatically creates that sum function for you. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click in the cell D7, and up on the Home tab, all the way over here in the Editing group, I see this option of AutoSum. Sort of looks like a Phi Beta Kappa sorority, right, with a little E. I click on the drop-down list here, and I see that the sum function is available. It says automatically add it up. And if I click on it one time, what it will do is it will show me that this is going to do equal sum D2 through D6, which is exactly what I want, okay? And I recommend clicking on it once just so that you can read the function. If you were to double-click it, it would actually bypass this, and it would just create the function for you. Okay, so that you wouldn't be sort of reviewing it. By clicking it once, it just allows you to sort of review it. All right, so now if I hit the Enter key, I see again, get the same exact answer. Okay, so I'm sure some of you are saying, well, why would I ever want to do this and type it in myself when Excel does it for me? But I go back to that whole, just try it, make sure that you understand how to create a function. All right, so Gina, why would we use the sum function over equal this plus that plus that? I'm going to show you that now. Watch what happens here if I insert. We learned about inserting a row in Chapter 1. I'm going to insert a row here, and I'm going to put in a value of 234. So my total there is 1638, right? What was in B5 became B6. What was in B6 became B7, right? So 234. 234, 234. So which ones actually updated, right? This one didn't. So you could be looking at this number all day long and saying, why didn't this one update? But what you really want to do is look at the formula. Double click it to look at it. What did it do? It took B2, B3, B4. What was B5 is now B6. So it changed it to B6, and it changed B6 to be B7, and it didn't take into account that B5 was inserted because we never told it that we wanted it, okay? So that's where the formula sort of falls a little bit flat in that it doesn't incorporate inserted rows. Whereas this just extended it. So it was C2 through C7 because I inserted the row in between C2 and C7. It just grew the range, and so it made it, it included that C5 in there. And the same thing here for our AutoSum worked exactly the same way. Okay, so what another cool thing that you can do, I'm just going to copy this and paste it so you can see it. Okay, another cool thing you could do is, let's say you had all of this and you wanted to have that all AutoSum. So watch, I'm highlighting this whole range with the row below it. And if I had gone up to AutoSum, look what happens, right? It automatically created the sum function for there, there, and there all at one swoop. Okay. The other thing you could do, you could come to here, you could do equal sum, left paren, highlight the range, right paren, enter, right? And then just fill it across. And that also would work. Same result, basically, same result. Okay. That's honestly the method I use. The one thing you want to be careful with AutoSum is on occasion it will sum in the wrong direction. So in other words, you want it to sum up and down, but it's going to sum left to right, which is why I say it's good to double click it. Single click it versus double click it, because it might create a formula that you're not expecting. It's going to create what it thinks you want, but it may not be what you actually want. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this video about sum. We'll talk more about functions in future videos.